Well, there's heat on the country of Saudi Arabia, Brian. This is where the WWE is going to invade the country of Saudi Arabia this weekend with Crown Jewel, the latest in their series of PLEs. I thought it was actually the PLO, considering the part of the country that they were, part of the world they were going to, but it's the PLE, the Premium Live Event. Can't call them pay-per-view anymore because nobody pays and few people view. But they're Premium Live Events, the Crown Jewel, over there with Prince Mohammed bin Sullivan and all the rest of the gang. And who is it recently? Was it the federal government? Or who's been calling for American companies recently to stop doing business with Saudi Arabia because of the, I don't know, pesky thing about murdering journalists and stuff?
It's been pretty much everyone across the board, except for multinational entertainment corporations that are looking for cash.
Well, I actually saw on the news this past week that there's been a stronger request made, I think, on behalf of the official United States for people not to fucking associate with these people anymore, or this regime or administration or whatever. And I mean, it's not like that people already haven't had that sentiment, but as things go on, is it like, who was it? Was it Betty Davis, the old star, like anybody doesn't know who Betty Davis is, but when
the
she was
old star, Betty Davis, here at the premiere.
The old star, yes, and the Joe Franklin show. I've been a fan for many years, but she, in the 40s in Hollywood, a friend of hers, another one of the female stars, said that her husband was messing around on her, but she just couldn't bear to leave him. And Betty Davis said, well, is the fucking you're getting worth the fucking you're getting? And even for, what is it? Have they said $50 million a show and they do 2 a year? We're talking about a company, it's worth $5 billion, $5 billion. And what would that be? 100 million, let's say 10, a 50th of their worth. Now, if I can do math in my head, that would be like me spending, what, 80 grand? I don't know. Is it worth it for a significant portion of the population to look at the WWE when they're trying to revamp their image as money-grubbing corporate heathens associating with goddamn murderers and the enemy?
I like when usually on these shows, like midway through it, Michael Cole all of a sudden does like a PSA for Saudi Arabian tourism.
Come for the weather, stay for the beheadings. Who wants to go to Saudi Arabia as a fucking tourist? Who would want to go to Saudi Arabia on purpose? I understand I'm sure none of the talent is ever said, oh boy, I can't wait. Have you got my tickets? Can I go in a day early? Nobody's ever said that. I understand a lot of them are in a predicament. The guys that don't have the pull, the gravitas on the roster, the cachet in the industry, the wherewithal through name recognition to say, fuck you, I ain't going to Saudi Arabia. I understand those guys having to put up with it. They don't want to lose their job or get knocked down the roster. Honestly, a lot of people will say, well, the big names, when they get Goldberg or they get this guy or that guy, they get $1 million. Any wrestler in the business today that gets $1 million payoff to go to Saudi Arabia already has a number of millions of dollars in their bank account, or they wouldn't be being offered $1 million to do anything. And so I don't know if I already had $7 million or $10 million that to make $8 or $11 million that I'd go to Saudi fucking Arabia. And do they actually think that people are just going to drop what they're doing because they see a wrestling show? Not even in the days of Bruno and Rocca, when people worship the wrestling matches. They're going to drop everything and say, well, instead of going to Gatlinburg this year, I'm going to fucking go to Saudi Arabia. I can't wait. Boy, it looks so wonderful with the camels and the sand and the armed fucking militias. Who's going to go to Saudi Arabia because they do a wrestling show there? How is that promoting tourism? You can watch the news, especially if you're a woman. If you're a woman, you don't want to show your face in Saudi Arabia because you're not allowed to.
It's an attempt by the current regime in Saudi Arabia to make their country more appealing to other countries throughout the world. They're trying to present themselves as a progressive new Saudi Arabia where, beheadings are only done on Wednesdays now. No, I don't know what the rules would be, but it is a concerted, long-term effort to try to legitimize Saudi Arabia with the Western world.
So propaganda is what you're saying.
Actually, I guess that is exactly what I'm saying, yeah.
So what you're saying is that the Saudi Arabian government, guilty of human rights violations and mistreatment of women, and who knows what all's going on over there, as I've heard some people say. Now, one of the biggest entertainment companies in the United States of America is helping them, not only helping them disseminate their false and misleading propaganda, but is actually sending celebrities and stars to participate in it for the almighty dollar. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were straight. Okay, all right, and this is another thing. Can you think about in the territory days, this would not have been an issue. And you know why? Because first off, because it wouldn't have happened. Because Inoki would have been doing the stadium show in Saudi Arabia. Because there was no worldwide wrestling promotion, and people wouldn't have known who goddamn the wrestlers were from the WWF in Saudi Arabia, and Inoki, because he always got these deals, with his passing a few weeks ago, he did stadium shows in Pakistan and India and everywhere, or the old Jim Londos deal where you get a countryman that's massively over around the world and he goes back to Greece and does 100,000 people, or Adnan Kazi in Iraq, or Kentaro Oki in Korea. That would have happened there, and nobody would have even known in this country there was a wrestling show taking place at a stadium in Saudi Arabia, and nobody would have given a shit because the only Americans that would have been involved were American wrestlers that somehow through Inoki or Adnan Kazi or whoever was, Otto Vons or whoever was putting it together in whatever part of the world, might book them individually. But there was... When I was in TNA in like 2006, I think it was, because that was the first year they went to United Kingdom, right? And remember TNA that year, they set their all-time attendance record. They had like 5,000 or 6,000 people for a house show, which they'd never done before. It was in England, right? Somewhere in the UK. And before the tour, I was talking to Jackie Moore, Miss Texas, Jacqueline. And I said, Jackie, did you ever think that we would see the day that we'd fuck the business up in this country so bad we'd have to go to England, draw 5,000 people? And she shook her head and she said, no, I never did. I said, I've got faith, though. And she said, what? You think it's going to come back? I said, no, I think we're going to fuck England up, too. What's the card for the Crown Jewel, O'Brien?
Only 5 matches listed. I don't know if that means a match or 2 will be added.
Wait, does that mean we get time off for good behavior?
It feels like that.
Trying to watch this fucking thing. Okay, the people, they were made to go to the stadium anyway, probably at gunpoint. They didn't have to buy the tickets. Just go, show up, make it look good. We'll let you out early. Is that what they're going for this time?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that at all, but here are the matches that have been listed. Braun Strowman versus Omos with MVP.
Saudi Arabia is probably the best place to do. No pun and no joke and no shit. If you go back through wrestling history, a big show in a foreign country, I'm talking foreign to the United States. If you're in Saudi Arabia right now, I'm sorry, but a big show in a foreign market two giants. The people are just thrilled to see live wrestling, thrilled to see the stars in person, whether it's the first time or one of the few times that ever happens in that part of the world. And they get two giants and it looks great on a poster or whatever. And it's going to be hopefully short, not necessarily sweet. They'll be there for a good time, but not for a long time. But that's in a domestic audience would shit all over this because they see wrestling on a regular basis and it's going to be rotten, because how can it not be? I mean, even if Almost was in there with, some talented worker, we've seen a couple of those, right? And it's Brown Strongman. So, but the Saudi Arabia fans will probably get a kick out of it because visually, and remember like Inoki's Japanese stadium shows, they'd have the freak show matches with the big tall guy or the big fat guy or the big whatever. They'll like it over there. We won't like it here, and hopefully it'll be kept mercifully brief. And even if they've planned for it to be an ongoing program, maybe they'll see the match, the WWE officials I'm talking about, and decide maybe we should never, ever do this again.
In a steel cage match, Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross with Scarlett.
Well, boy, if the opening match is Almost and Braun Strowman, and there's only 5 matches, are we calling Logan Paul and Roman Reigns an hour Broadway? Kross and McIntyre, they're going to put some time in. A cage match listed second. We don't know what order they're going to go in, but it's not going to go on last. We've been trying to like Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They look great, got a great entrance. Some of the special effects haven't worked, the fireball or whatever, but this is not going to be bad. I'm just wondering, is Kross going where they're wanting him to go? Or is it taking him more time to get there or whatever? Or is he ever going to get there?
I'm not really sure what they're doing with Karrion Kross. I'm not sure if people are really taking to him and Scarlett or not. Have they done anything the last few weeks since they had the car thing in the first segment of the show? Were they on last week's SmackDown?
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem. We don't remember. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It won't be horrible. We'll see. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Now here's an intriguing one. I wish this wasn't taking place in Saudi Arabia. Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley.
That one. Here's the thing. They suddenly had Brock reappear and switch heel out of nowhere and just beat the shit out of Bobby Lashley, the babyface, and the people cheered madly while he did it. So, unfortunately, I think they're probably going to cheer Brock, against Lashley, even though it's supposed to be set up to be exactly the opposite, because the fans don't boo heels or cheer baby faces anymore. They just cheer shit that goes on in front of them. So Bobby was a stronger heel and also could take care of himself better as a heel with the manager and the group, because he's not an over-the-top personality. And, so they're gonna gravitate to Lesnar because he's a fucking freak of various natures. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing it from an athletic standpoint, but I think it'll probably accomplish exactly the opposite of what they apparently want, which was Brock to turn heel on Lashley.
The next match listed here, Jim, in 6-man tag team action, the OC, comprised of AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson, versus the Judgment Day, comprised of Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio, with Rhea Ripley.
And that's, by the way, we're not talking about Raw this week from last Monday, because I read the recap the day after, and to spend 3 hours fast-forwarding through a television program to watch Rhea Ripley body slam Luke Gallows is probably not worth it. Having said that, we want to love the Judgment Day. They've got their version of Butch, the annoying little Urchin Finn in there, but rest of them look great. Dominic looks better than he ever has dressed up like they've got him now and with Rhea Ripley whispering in his ear, and he looks a little meaner and a little older. He doesn't look like the kid running down the street trying to catch the ice cream truck like he did with Ray as a babyface. And then there's, the OC, the original club.
It's the lamest thing.
I haven't been as bad on Gallows and Anderson as you have, because I've said especially Anderson in the past. Gallows is big, but they were overtaken by the silliness. You would think those two guys wouldn't pal around with, associate with, have the same mindset as all the rest of the silly Bullet Club denizens. But I'm interested in the Judgment Day without Finn Balor. I don't know that I'm interested in this match. I'm sure it'll be quite exciting and not move the needle for business one whit in any direction.
And finally, Jim, for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns defends the championship against Logan Paul.
And, it's going to be good. Logan Paul takes this seriously, and he's a very prideful person. He's been training. We saw him do way better before than what he ought to have for, his level of inexperience. They're not going to switch the belt, but they've given Saudi Arabia for their $50 million a big main event with somebody they can say, and truthfully so, is a big American celebrity. And so it's like they gave away, in its own way, it's kind of a freak show match in terms of a celebrity from YouTube who's dabbled in other sports, now is in wrestling, but he can compete at a high level because he's an athlete. But it doesn't have to sell tickets because nobody thinks he's going to win. They've tried to create the doubt. Well, if I get one good shot, well, but he's not. But at least they're trying to create the doubt. And it would be a massive PR backlash and booking malfeasance for Logan Paul to beat Roman Reigns. But for a main event on a pay-per-view, they don't have to sell pay-per-views, and a live event they don't have to sell tickets to. It's genius to do this.
Well, we'll see if it's genius to watch this. Those 5 matches, the only matches listed for this weekend's Crown Jewel, which we will review on, the Drive-Thru.
They're probably going to have to do. It depends on which of the other wrestlers are allowed to escape from the hostage situation this time around. If the militia lets the rest of the locker room go, they'll have another match or two. And also, apparently, just for those keeping track, NXT did Halloween Havoc, but this year it wasn't a TV special. It was its own standalone PPV, PLE, whatever the case. And you and I both found out about it after the fact, but I read the recap, multiple furniture matches, and Braun Breaker was in a 3-way against 2 nobody. So nothing there, but I'd love to check in with Braun Breaker sometime again. We haven't seen him in months because he hasn't had a single match against anybody except people in NXT, and few of those. And I would love to see him against any top guy right now, one-on-one, just to see how he's doing. It doesn't even have, I'm not talking about a main roster, main event guy that he would have to do a job for. It's too early for that. I'm talking about like the Dolph Ziggler and the Robert Roode stuff they did before, a top guy who can work and knows what he's doing that comes in one-on-one to work with Braun. I'd love to see that. But so far we haven't seen that in a while. What do you think, Brian? You looking forward to the big crown jewel?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's looking forward to a show. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's the middle of the day. It has a weird energy because it's over there in the other part of the world. Then there's those propaganda segments in the middle of the show. I don't know. I'd be a little more excited about it if it was a Saturday night show with Lashley and what's his name? Lashley and Lesnar. But these Saudi Arabian shows, I'm not a hardcore WWE fan. If I was, maybe I'd be excited about it. But they feel like big events in that they get big names, but do big things ever really happen or come out of them? I don't know.
Well, you know what the thing is? Maybe they need to beef themselves up a little bit. Maybe they need to get bigger and stronger. Maybe, as Mama Cornette used to say, they need to eat some more meat and potatoes. That's whatever she'd say to me whenever I'd get all upset. And she'd say, before you mess with me or before you mess with him or before you mess with somebody, you better eat plenty more of your meat and potatoes. Build up those muscles. Make sure you got some weight back there behind you that's motivating you. And you know what? How you can do that easy now, Brian? How you can eat more meat and potatoes if you want them, or more vegan stuff if you don't want the meat, or more veggie stuff.
Vegan stuff and veggie stuff, yes.
What is a potato? A potato's a vegetable. What's a tomato? Is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable?
I believe technically it's a fruit.
Well, then you can have fruits too. You can have all kinds of things: fruits, vegetables, apple, mustard, pork chops, Tuscan tomato chicken, 3-bean vegan chili. You can have all that. You can have that too. You can have all of it through our friends at Factor. Now you got to factor this in, folks. You factor in. See, we're going to do some Steiner math. You factor in all the time that you spend working every day, providing for your family, fulfilling your job, your employment. Then you factor in sleep. You got to sleep so you can get up the next day and do it all over again. Then you factor in some people, from rumors that I've heard, have children, and they take time. Can you verify that, Mr. Last?
Can I verify what?
That children take time.
Well,
they take time out of your busy schedule.
I would hate to look at it that way, but certainly you want to spend time with your kids and you want to give them the time they need.
Time-consuming little organisms.
And by the technical point of view, sure.
Yes, by the time you finish your working and sleeping and conducting the children in whatever fashion they need to be shepherded through life, well, then you got no time for yourself. You forgot about you. Well, that's where the folks at Factor come right into play, because they've got ready-to-eat meal delivery straight to your door. That makes it easy. You can prepare this stuff in a couple of minutes. You put it in the microwave, a few more minutes, you put it in the oven. It's chef-crafted and nutritionist designed. So you got your main course, you got your sides. They've also got stuff to go along with it, add-on options, smoothies, juices, snacks, and you can eat any kind of diet. If you're on the keto-friendly thing, if you want to be friendly to keto, if you want to fall in love and marry keto, they've got it at Factor. They got everything, and they're flexible. They're practically contortionists. You can change your order up every week. They can give you plans from 4 to 18 meals a week. Now, if you're only eating 4 meals a week, I'm not a nutritionist, but I would suggest eat more meals. And you can pause and reschedule the deliveries anytime. Let's say, for example, you're not going to be at whatever roadside shack or broom closet that you have told them to deliver your food at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. You're not going to be there. You can pause it. If you're going to be under a bridge somewhere with no particular street address, you can have them bring it back to your broom closet the following week. And Protein Plus, they've got that. They've got Keto, Calorie Smart, Vegan and Veggie, Protein Plus, all kinds of meals, and they save you time, and they're packed with restaurant quality flavor. So anyway, folks, right now, if you are tantalized, if your taste buds are shivering, and you're ready to go and jump on this right now, all you got to do to eat healthy, eat good, and eat quick and have it delivered to your door without taking all the muss and the fuss of preparing everything, all you got to do is head to, and write this down, go.factor75.com/JCE60. Yes, that's go.factor75.com/JCE60 and use the code JCE60 to get 60% off your first box of Factor. JCE60 for 60% off at go.factor75.com. You'll eat good, You'll look like a Greek god when you eat all these nutritious, healthy meals. You don't need to exercise. I wouldn't even bother to get out of bed in the morning. Just eat a bunch of this stuff and you'll look like Atlas.
You should still get out of bed. You will not look like Atlas, especially if you do not work out. But you should eat healthy.
Well, if Atlas doesn't work out, we'll replace him with somebody that will work out. Sooner or later, this will all work out. But in the meantime, you want to look great, just eat this food, do nothing. As a matter of fact, eat this food, drink heavily, smoke 4 packs a day. It doesn't matter. This food is so healthy.
It matters. Don't do any of those things, but eat healthy.
And also take plenty of personal risks. Just go out and throw caution to the winds because you're going to feel great.
You're full of it. You hate Darby Allin, and listen to what you're saying here.
Jump over your own house, just like Darby Allin. The Factor's going to rev you up, boy. You're going to be out there. You're going to be just going crazy.
Enjoy a nice normal day, but enjoy it knowing that you've ingested healthy, chef-crafted food with Factor.
Yes, because the chef-crafted food, chef-crafted food that Factor prepares is crafted like no other chef can craft. They're very crafty people over at Factor.
If you could see how this chef would craft, you can craft. I'm trying to do your stupid thing, and I can't even do it.
Well, why don't you do your stupid thing? What in the world is going on in the world of the Arcadian Vanguard Network this week?
Lots of stupid things happening this week. Get information about all the shows on Twitter at Superpodcast or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A few not stupid notes, the wrestling news at thewrestlingnews.com, or of course, available anywhere you find your favorite podcasts for free. Daily wrestling newscast, minus the opinion, minus the conjecture. There will be no star ratings, just actual wrestling news. Once again, wherever you find your favorite podcast, thewrestlingnews.com. We have a lot of very exciting things we're working on. Stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting next few years. And you can hear all about it on
Wait a minute. We got to wait that long to find that next few years? I might not have that long.
Oh, you got a while to go.
You got to do something for me in the next 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Well, just to be safe.
We're going to do something for you. We're going to buy all those action figures and drive you crazy. But of course, let's talk about some of the other shows. This week on Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam, John and Jamie Ward talk about 1983 WWF, Jimmy Snuka, Bob Backlund, the return of the Samoans, and so much more. Hear that today at McAdamPod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Go through the archive today at 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The Mothership.
The Mothership. Well,
yeah.